everybody, welcome back to Melodic Muse. It's Andy Timmons, and we're going to take one more spin through this chord progression that we've worked on the last couple of months. And this time, I'm going to take a freer approach and get into a lot more string bending and maybe a little bit of chromaticism. Okay, so this is the third run through of me playing through this series of chords: E minor to A7, E minor to A7, and C major 7 to B7. That repeats. In the first column, I stuck to the blues. Second column, I kind of combined that with a bit more voice leading, adding some of the more scalar tones away from just the blues, right? And this time, this was more kind of like a free skate. Let's just see what happens and just talk about that. The bottom line through all this is, you know, when I'm actually playing in any kind of music, it should be that. That's first and foremost the priority. In this context, of course, we're talking about and we're analyzing all the components. But me just hitting play on the track and playing is uber important with me not having anything preconceived. Because at the bottom line, whatever I'm doing, I want it to sound musical. I want it to be interesting. I want it to have a feel to it. I want the tone to be great. I want there to be some direction to it. Anytime I start involving the brain too much, it's never a good thing. And it happened a little bit at the end of the solo. I thought maybe I should play something chromatic, and I pulled it off. It was okay. But that's a good thing to talk about because, you know, when you're in the studio or you're on the stage, when it's that moment where, okay, it's time to make music, you don't want to be overwhelmed with all these you know, thoughts and too much thinking, too much brain activity that can take you away from really being in the middle of the music in real time. And that's the goal. It's not easy to get to that place. And I'm not saying that I'm always there because it's a moving target. You know, there can be distractions. You might not be happy with your tone, or drum and bass player aren't quite locked in, you know. But with repetition and just years of doing it, you know, you just find your place to be, and the more you know, you grow with your instincts and your ears, right? So through this, as I was improvising, my lovely and talented producer Andy Timmon said, "Well, you were bending a lot," and so that is a very common thread for me. It's one of the most expressive things that the guitar has to offer. You know, think no more than Jeff Beck or Larry Carlton. You know, Steve Lukather, they're some of my favorite string benders of all time. That just gives the guitar so much more vocal quality, right? So whatever note I'm on, I might have an inclination to go ahead and bend, sliding. But anytime I've tried to maybe teach this kind of thing, it's a great exercise to bend up to a note. I'm just going to pick the D on the G string, 7th fret, since we're in the key of E primarily. Bending the note, and so tuning really becomes tantamount here. It's like bending a string, but it not being in tune or having the right intent is just going to be uncomfortable for everybody. So this is a good exercise to do. If you'll notice, I'm bending that string, but I'm not doing anything but really trying to arrive at the center of the pitch. A lot of times we'll be adding vibrato, and sometimes that's going to get more out of tune. So really need to learn how to get to the middle of that pitch. Some people might want to check the pitch on the next string. But you also see how I'm really getting some fingers behind, bending with my ring finger, but these other two guys, middle and index finger, and then I'm anchoring with my thumb. I'll try this. I release it, slide up a whole step, and then bend to from the E to the F sharp. See where we're going with this? Whoops, too sharp. just bending from a note to the next scalar tone. So here's flat 7 to the root, root to second, second to third, third to fourth, fourth to the fifth. Sometimes I'll climb like that. I'll slide, hammer on from the third to the fourth. A little wide interval bend, which I might have gotten initially from Steve Lukather. David Gilmour, of course. But it all probably comes from Albert King. And a little bit of chromaticism where I was... I went all the way up to that B. My picky, just kind of sliding and pulling off. I'll slide down to the A and then pull off the next chromatics. So it's kind of outlining, even though it might have happened on the C major 7, which I think it did. See, I'm voice leading down to that F sharp, which is a half step below the G, which is the fifth of that C major 7. It's classic bebop. Can really connect any scalar notes with chromatic.